And it's very prone to errors. The errors come from the counting of clusters, around 70%, and from the estimation of weight of around 30%. And the industry needs predictions with a maximum error around 10-15%. So that's the general overview. The automatic methods using images that exist today are basically two types. One includes two steps. A first step, we try to count the bunches or the berries. And the second step, we try to predict the weight of the berries from that first counting. And there's a second step for those which are more familiar with the deep learning methodologies. It's called end-to-end. You put the image and you get the prediction of the production. These are very recent. They are not yet effective, but it's probably where we should put our bets on. Problems. We go through the problems with images. Occlusions, phenological stages, varieties, type of vine, and so on, so forth. This is kind of a recollection of scientific works on the subject. As you can see, the most predominant is the methodology is based on computer vision, so images. And using images, if you have two steps, first step is to extract features from the images. Okay? If you're doing that on a classical way, you try to extract round forms like berries. There are different strategies, not really important, but there are other approaches like going into the stems or into the flowers, depending on the phenological stage you are working with. And once you get the features, you predict the production. And here it's the traditional machine learning methods. You can use neural networks, you can use support vector regression, so many. These methodologies are very sensitive to occlusions, and they have even more bigger problem, is that since they are learning methods, they need the data to be labeled. And labeling data on agriculture is a nightmare. On the other hand, you have end-to-end methods. You get a state-of-the-art deep learning method. You input the image, you get the production. So far, I'm only aware about one group doing that. And there are some shortcomings on that approach now. First is that they are using a kind of flow chart, a pipeline of work that it's not possible to generalize to many of the countries. They are using a machine that the way of harvesting, you get instant information on the production you are getting. That's how they are calibrating the models. But they have enormous advantages. It's not so sensitive to occlusions, and most of all, they don't need data labeling. So the problem of the phenological stage is this one. If you have these 7 stages, which one would you pick to work with images to get the number of berries or bunches? But the first 2 or 3, it's impossible. So you get these last 3 ones, okay? But then you have to think, but if I do it just one day before harvest, it's no use to do that. So there's a trade-off, and the trade-off is more or less here. It's what we call pea-size berries. It's about 60 days before harvest. It's usually accepted as a very, very good trade-off. The second problem is that you have occlusions. Occlusions is when the leaves are in front of the bunches. How can you count bunches if you do not see them? How can you count? Using images, of course. So there are several techniques you can use. There are people that do a thing called defoliation, which means taking off the leaves from the bunches, and it's labor intensive. Or you can not using defoliation, and the problem is that when you try to find the bunches on the left side, on the left column, the bunches seem to be less than on the right side. The right side is the most exact one, of course. Again, it's a compromise. You have to compromise. There's a vineyard management practice for instance, in northern Spain. There is that kind of balance. They do not defoliate full. They only do what they call partial defoliation. The interest of partial defoliation is about 2-3 leaves on the bottom, on the bunches. The partial defoliation exists because airs the vine. Airing the vine provokes fewer diseases and increases the quality of the grape. So partial defoliation is nothing new for viticulturists and for winemakers. So probably a solution is there. And the techniques for counting the berries, from the classical ones, you can go from threshold methods to earth transforms, histogram of gradients, whatever. And once you pass to machine learning or deep learning, you get I think you are familiar with supported vector machines, YOLO, UNet, SegNet, and so forth.
Just a moment, please.
Está um bocado non-responsive.
Está.
É sair e pôr. Se for preciso, tenho outra versão.
Em que slides está?
Sei, estou no
14, não é? Ok.
Quanto tempo é que já passou?
Qual é a apresentação desta?
É a minha essa.
É esta? É. Mas isto é um PowerPoint.
É, mas é um PowerPoint de imagem.
Ah.
Mas é essa.
Tá bem.
Settings. Isso é um bocado alguma coisa, sei tudo.
Okay. Let me.
It's okay.
No, just a moment. People online wasn't seeing the screen, only here, and just a moment. Okay, where is the presentation? Okay, this here.
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry for the delay. This one is the play button. Yes. Okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. It's fine.
Okay. You can go to
14.
the
14. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, so a little problem here. People, yeah. I'll do a recap. I'll do a quick recap for the people online. Okay. Sorry about that. We were not aware that people online were not watching the presentation. So recapping a little bit. So one of the problems is the phenological stage of the grape. So we have different phenological stages. Some of them, the first 3 or 4, you don't have grapes, so it's useless. You can't count grapes if you don't have grapes. And the last 3, as near the harvest you are, the less useful the estimation would be, because you won't have any time to actuate if some action is needed. Another problem is, So a trade-off is about 60 days before harvesting. It's called pea size for the berries. So it's where most of the works actuate is here. A second problem is the occlusion. You have many leaves in front of the grapes, so you can't count grapes if you don't see them using images. So a traditional way in northern Spain, for other reasons than counting grapes, for earlier reasons than deep learning or methods or whatever, is to defoliate partially. So you only take 2 to 3 leaves from the area of the bunches. The defoliation is the middle column, that kind of defoliation. So you have a compromise between seeing everything and not seeing most of it. But you still have to estimate. I mean, if you only rely on the visible ones, you will get the wrong answer, because there are still some that are occluded. These are the methodologies. I guess it was here when we stopped. So for the detection of berries, you can use classical approaches like half transforms or histogram of gradients, classical until 2012, 13. And the recent ones, machine learning or deep learning, that involved SegNet, vision transformers, UNet, YOLO, so many models. And for the weighting of the grape clusters, you can use traditional, the pixel area, the pixel volume, following a little bit what a viticulturist would do. And recent ones, you don't rely on that, you rely on regression models. So CNN or, neural networks or support vector regression, regression trees, the not discrete ones, random forests, so different methodologies. Sometimes you can use more than one and you fuse the results. Sometimes you boost the results using one and then another one. It all depends on the teams and on the particular problem. Yeah. So this is the first case study. The case studies were the 3 case studies I'm going to present. I was involved with. This one is to estimate production. The photos you see were taken in northern Spain, Alta Rioja and Basque Country. And they present 6 different vines examples with different varieties. The varieties are the ones, I guess, none of these variety you tasted 2 days ago, because they are not Vinho Verde varieties. But the sampling were 96 vines, 6 per grape variety, and partial defoliated, as you can see on the circle, on the lower, on bottom column row. At the same time, for ground truth measurement, because you're going to train the model, you have to know some results to train the model. We collect the clusters, we weight the clusters, we count the berries manually, and we determine yield and average berry weight from those values. This is the flow chart. So we start with the images. We go through that in a moment. We do a semantic segmentation with different levels. And then with those features, the features from the image segmentation, we get the yield and the number of actual berries. We can introduce here some more specific things. We try to go to that. First of all, we did the image collection at night. I guess people who used image or image-based systems know why, because at night I can control the illumination. Daytime, you have cloudy days, sunny days, rainy days, you have early morning, you have at night, no. At night, you have the illumination system and you get the same illumination for all the vines. So we do it at night and the images we get are on the right side. Then we segment 3 times. The first one, we get the bunches. The second one, we get the berries. And the third one, we get canopy features that I will come after. So we do 3 times segmentation. All independent, except the last one, which used the berry segmentation from before. All done with SegNet model. SegNet model is a known one. Because the images are too big and computational effort is too much for in-field experiments, we divide the image in patches. So we get around 1,700 patches. 50% of those patches, they have clusters, others they don't have, to balance the data set. They were manually labeled for the bunches. And we have a different test set that is not used on the training as it should be. The results are these ones. So probably some occlusions, but not much. And a different segmentation procedure is to count the berries. And here we have a small trick, let's say. We have 3 classes: berry, center of the berry, and edge of the berry. It works better to count berries than having only 2 classes. And third, we get some information about the canopy. This information proved important to estimate the actual number of berries. Don't forget that some of the berries were occluded. Because it would be a nightmare to label these images. It's and no supervised learning. We did automatic labeling, and then we verify it. And in the final, the feature extraction result in 6 features. That's what we're going to feed to the regression model. The 6 features depend on the visible berries, the ratios between visible berries and some properties of the canopy. The examples are here, and we use a 7th feature, which is the average berry weight. It's estimated, or it can come from the previous harvests, from last year, 2 years before, 3 years before, and so we can use both ways to do this. The results are these ones. We tried different approaches for the regression methodologies for the cross correlation. We try to leave one vine out of the training and then do the cross correlation, changing the one vine left out. We try to do 8 folds, so we divide in 8 folders and one is not used each time. We try to leave one variety out, And we did that with or without berry weight as feature. So using the berry weight, the results are a little better. And as you can see, the results are not bad, but are not excellent. And then we tried to establish if this is variety dependent. So we did just to leave one out, but we trained the model with all varieties but one, and then we test with that one. And there are some varieties that are not very friendly. Malvasia, for instance, is the middle one on the upper row. It's doesn't work very well that way. Why is this important? Because if you have 100 varieties, and if the models are variety dependent, you need one model per variety. And this is much more work than if you can at least cluster in clusters of varieties. This is more or less state of the art. There are other works similar, but the new one I showed you before, the one that is end-to-end, is probably one of the most promising paths to explore in the near future. The second aspect I will try to address here is it's related, it's vine diseases. Vine diseases are very, they provoke very many problems for the production, for the quality of the wine, of the grapes. So it's really good to try to establish as early as possible if some vine has or not some disease. Probably in your visit 2-3 days ago, you saw that some of the vines have roses on the top. And the rose is a kind of disease detector from nature. So roses tend to get the mildew before the vines, okay? So what we're trying to do is the artificial rose. How can we act like a rose, not being the rose? And you see, there are different diseases here, and the images are not very different. And most of it, if you're going to wait until the spots, this is mildew. Mildew has brown spots on the leaves. If you wait too much time, it's useless, because if you are going to act on the vine on the last stage, probably the production will be damaged. So we need to act as early as possible. And the problem is that if you look into the left side image, you almost don't see anything, but there is already disease in that leaf. So it's a problem a little different from before, yet the same. There are many works. The most recent, this is a typical classification problem, okay? The most recent works use the architectures you are expecting to UNet, SegNet, both of these ones, because they have the connections from the encoder to the decoder, which increases the quality of the results. DeepLab, YOLO, and more recently, Vision Transformers, and even Vision Mamba. Vision Mamba is a very recent architecture that does the same as Vision Transformers, let's say generally. And Vision Transformers, what they do is they can establish relationship between different parts of the image. And Vision Mamba does the same without the same computational effort. Here, the problem is different. Most of the works rely on public data sets, and public data sets that are far from real. I mean, if you go to into a vine, you don't see the leaves like this. Okay? The reason is very easy to understand. If you have a disease, no wine grower would like to have an experimental vine with diseases. No wine grower, because it's liability, let's say, okay? So it's very difficult to do that. So most of the works are in controlled conditions. The ones that use the Mamba is not for vines, it's for any plant, and it's very controlled as well. And what they can get is on the lower row, they can relate to different in diseases that appear in different parts of the plant. Here are some results of that work. So it works pretty well, but I mean, no wine grower would use it because you don't have these images for vines. So some people go into the field and take the images of the leaves only. That's one approach. And another approach, and these are the results. So classifications, this is YOLO, different versions of YOLO, and one that has a neck for refined features and some technicalities. And the results are very interesting. But again, no wine grower would go through the vine and take specific shots of the leaves. So the most reliable from the wine grower is you take the shot of the entire vine and now decide, is there mildew here or no? That's the second case of study. And if you want a database really comprehensive, you have to take shots on clear days, partial cloudy, early morning, midday. That's what we did. The images are from Basque Country. Basque Country has a very, very good quality for disease studies. It's very humid, and very humid means lots of diseases. Again, because the original image is too big, we divide in patches. Hand labeled. So each of the upper row image, the position of the lesions, of the mildew lesions, are the white spots on the lower row. Because images are too few, we have data augmentation techniques, the usual, and one, I'm not sure if you are familiar with this one, mixed up. Mixed up is a kind of linear combination between two images and the classes and the predictions. So you do a, let's say, weighted linear combination. It's very important. You don't have enough images to train any of these deep learning models. And then we test different deep learning models. The one that presents best results for the UNED. Here are the results of different situations. The whites are areas that have mildew and were classified as mildew. Red ones are areas with mildew that were not classified, so that's the problematic ones. And blues, less problematic, is areas that they don't have mildew, they did not have mildew, and the model classified as yes. Okay, so as you can see, there are some red spots, and that's the problem. Fortunately, these are the results. Sorry, I'll skip. Fortunately, the methodology works better when there are fewer spots than with many spots, which means that we don't miss many leaves with presenting diseases. What we miss is some of the spots in the leaves that are many spots. And that's not so problematic. It's only problematic because we try also to grade the severity of the lesions for the viticulturist, for the wine grower, can adapt the actuation. And on the left is the results for the number of symptoms, and on the right side is the severity. As you can see, as the severity increases, the line diverges, so it's not so good. One of the solutions for the lack of images is to generate them. So that's the next step we're doing. We are using Gen AI to generate images. here is a personal position. If you are trying a classifier, I don't think that let's say, what they call plausibility of the image is the most important aspect. Why? Because probably the model is not going after plausibility features. It's going after some features. Some you can say which features are, others you don't imagine, especially if you go into deeper levels. So what for me it's really important is if the generated image boosts the classifier. Of course, you cannot get leaves with continuity problems, and so on and so forth. These are three different ways of generating images. The two first ones are from the literature. The third one is proprietary. It's our method. And the results using the data augmentation plus generated image are a little better. We did not use the third one yet for the results. It's still under publication, so I cannot use them. So as you can see, it's the first line of the results. Without any data augmentation for the test set, the accuracy is around 94%. And with the data augmentation, we increase 3 points, which is a very, very, very good result. Of course, again, don't forget generalization. We did this with 1, 2, 3, 4 varieties. Different varieties have different canopies and somehow different, of course, vines all share the same structural aspects, but the leaves and the disease can manifest in different ways. And finally, the most challenging one. How can you establish the maturity of a grape without touching it? The way they are doing that now is they sample. An expert go into the vine and sample. Go into the lab and using chemical approach, spectroscopy or others, they can know exactly how much sugar, how much pH, and whatever. This is time-consuming, is not statistically relevant. I mean, sparse sampling is not statistically relevant. You need to be an expert, very good, otherwise it won't work. And because most of the techniques in lab are using chemicals, this is not friendly to the environment. So the idea is to get rid of that and with one image, say if the grape has contents in sugar. The works here are a few ones. So the traditional ones were regression methods like PSLR or support vector regression. But more recent, we have used shallow CNNs, we have used autoencoders, inception time, omniscale, ResNet, gradient boost regression to try to overcome some problems. The way you do the images is very important. There are results, there are works with very good results like the top ones, but that's not doable on vine. I mean, you can't get the grapes, go into a box with lighting, everything perfect. It's impossible. The middle one is our middle of the bridge approach. We are doing it in lab and in the field. In the lab, we don't do any kind of black box, nothing. We have open windows, natural daylight, and we have an additional light because something I'll come back later. And the bottom row are examples I get from recently from I don't say industry that promise wonderful results, but they don't say how will they do it. So there are also guys that they say, well, we are going to do this. Okay, show. Probably they will be able, but it's not yet proven. This is our flow chart. This is our pipeline. We use a different kind of images, which are called hyperspectral images. Then we classify, or regression, because we have a continuous value. We regress those images, not exactly the image, until we get the value. I only show you the results on sugars. Sugar on the grape is very important to establish the maturity. Also pH and anthocyanin, but I only address here the sugar. Sugar are measured in degrees Brix, and the industry says that any estimation should be less than 0.5 degrees Brix error to be useful. So that's our target, an error under 0.5 degrees Brix. Why hyperspectral image? Hyperspectral images go from around, depending on the camera, goes from around 400 nanometers to 1000 nanometers. It's the spectral range. So it goes a little bit into the near infrared, and that's the difference from the traditional images. Because of the wavelength, you can penetrate around 1 millimeter or something like that under the grape skin, and you can get information about the chemical exchanges that are occurring in the grape. And that's what we are using. The problem is that you get a cube, not an image, you get a cube. For instance, the camera we are using, you get 1040 spectrum. So you get a cube. And you can imagine training deep learning models with this. So what we did is we tried to reduce the information, and you only use the midline of the grape. We did some testing. There are no difference between using the midline, not statistical difference between using the midline and the whole of the image. The equipment is much cheaper, so we only use one line. And one line represents a spectrum. On the right side, on green, you have a spectrum. So we don't really have images. We have data. And for different grapes, you get something like the upper image. Very similar, but not exactly the same. And you have to say which ones are mature and which ones are not. That's the problem. This is our data set. We have a little bit more of that than that now. We have around 33,500 samples. As far as we know, and for public data sets, is the most comprehensive one for this kind of studies. We have 3 different varieties for the ones which are more, know a little bit more about wine. These are the 3 main grapes varieties for port wine. So it's very important for port wine producers. The variability is very, very, very high, depending on the harvest, depending on the vintage, depending on the variety, depending on the sun exposition, on the position on the vineyard, depending on the climate that year, so it's a nightmare the first thing we try to do is, we have so many data, let's try to reduce this. So we tried every type of data reduction scheme we know. Cars, for instance, get a result about 63 wavelengths that are important. And VCPA about 11. The problem is not that. We can cope with that. The problem is that if TF is Touriga Franca is one of the varieties and 2012 is the vintage year. If we train the model, doesn't matter the model. This was a very, very easy one. With one variety, and we change the testing set for a different variety, the error skyrockets. So, okay, data reduction, yes, but we try many approaches. Okay, and incredibly, the PCA, the old-fashioned PCA, was the best one. Okay, and then we're going into the models. We developed a very shallow CNN. The idea is that if we don't have that data, that many data, and if you have complex data, probably getting only 2 convolutional layers would be the best approach. Okay, we tried different setups, we optimized the number of neurons, and the results were very interesting. I'll just, the last ones are the most important. So we train with one variety, which is Touriga franca, and we try to get results with all the other varieties included. And the errors are very, very interesting, okay? 0.81, 0.79, 0.76. So we are almost there. There's a small trick here that we induced time on the model. How? We do not random choose the training set. We choose the training set according to the stages of maturation in the set. This is very important. Okay. Then we ask, okay, if it works with a shallow CNN, why don't we try more strong approaches? We did go into inception time. It has some time series ability. So we want to try if it can incorporate the same approach of time that we did in the shallow one. ResNets, of course, because we're trying to see if skip connections were any good in this situation. The omniscale, because we would like to enlarge the receptive field. The results were not as good. So we have the inception time, the omniscale, and in each of the examples, the bottom row is the most difficult one. And the errors that are on bold are always over 1 degree Briggs. And finally, we test residual nets in inception time in a different way, and we try to establish if the first result we got under the 1 degree Briggs were really correct. So we random select the test sets and the training sets, and the error is not anymore 0.9 or 0.8, is 1.61, which means that time is probably very important. And we are now working on a model that includes time, trying to reach 0.8, 0.7. And conclusions, A-based solutions are on rise everywhere, and agriculture is, of course, the same. It will grow exponentially in the next 5-10 years. There are already some solutions, IA-based, that are scientifically and technologically mature. The contribution of the community of our community, the AI community, is very important because more data means more complexity, and traditional methods will fail. And I hope some solutions, if more people invest on working on AI solutions for agriculture, some solutions will emerge, and we probably will have something like this in a couple of years. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Pedro. Thank you for your presentation. And I'd like to open the discussion to our public.
I thank you for your presentation. Did you consider the possibility of having synthetic data generated since you lack images, but using virtual reality or other techniques?
No, virtual reality we did not consider, but we considered and we are using generated images for the diseases. The spectra is a little bit more complicated. You cannot generate spectra as you generate images because there are some considerations you need to do. It's something we are working with. Probably you come up with something in next year. And for instance, we generate weather data whenever we don't have that. Yes, we do, of course. Yeah, but thanks very much.
Thank you for your very nice presentation. It's two subjects that are very important for us, machine learning and wine, of course. I will focus on yield prediction and in early yield prediction. You have image-based prediction, so the earliest that you can predict is 2 months, more or less. I have two questions. The first one is, you mentioned that the market wanted a prediction with 10 to 15% error, and I wasn't sure what was your error in your predictions. And the second one is it possible to use agro-meteorological data to complement the images? And how accurate would it be to only use agro-meteorological data? I imagine less, but probably you have more information.
Thank you very much for the question. That's a tricky one. Starting from the last part, yes, it's possible. You are going to use time frame on the grape maturity. You can use weather conditions to see or to improve the quality of the prediction. The problem there is that probably the wine growers, if they do have to add something else, will not like very much. And I'm not very sure, but yes, probably will help. Since it's based on image, if it's not, if it is a yes or no, what would the weather conditions or other conditions would improve the model? And I suppose it's not the first time we think about that. I suppose that's, well, a region like Basque Country that has natural conditions for more mildew than, let's say, Malaga conditions, which are less humid. Probably the model will kind of not bias, but try to adjust the results. Yes, but we didn't try. And the first question is about the images. Accuracy, yeah. Well, the best results are on the 15% error, the best ones. The problem is that you can't rely on the best results, as you know, okay? So there's still a way to go, yes.
Okay, apart from, I don't know whether I contribute a lot, but apart from the wine, País Vasco is much better than that one, Malaga, where I live. So we have been working on hyperspectral data of Earth observations. So when you started with your story, I thought this guy is going to use a camera of hyperspectral data, where I think last century we did already tomato plants with leaves with RGB, so usually that's sufficient information. So when you started to say about the dimensionality, then I had the same feeling. So the PCA usually is sufficient to reduce the dimension of the that was my feeling. The other thing I liked about your story is also that paper that we made a few years ago, that all people that work on neural networks, let's say in that way, they sampled from the data, the test set. Whereas I agree with you that you can do a design of experiments, which is much wiser because you know the variation in your test set. So these are two things that I like in the story that I have a similar experience.
Yeah, well, thanks for the comment. Probably we share some of the problems and some of the difficulties and some of the views on this one.
Yeah,
well,
observation, we focus far more on noise, no?
We find, well, our findings are slightly different. PCA is not enough. I mean, we found out that something like TSNE that comes from visualization. So you compress the dimensions on visualization. We did the same, but for dimensions on the data, works a little better. But the most interesting part is that the pre-processing of the signal, that's a signal, it's probably more important than data reduction. So we do the SG, and it works very well.
Thank you.
Hi. It's interesting subject actually, and it's part of battery production as well as I think. The main thing I did not notice is that the size of the data set you used, as you said, some of the parts you decided to take a picture at night. So how many pictures do you use to train or even to detect and test your system? This is first. Second, I don't know, you mentioned something about wavelet transformation. Did you test it or not?
Sorry, about?
About wavelet transformation. Wavelet.
Wavelet?
Yeah. I think I see
Yeah.
something like that.
Probably some other guys of work. We don't use it.
No, maybe you can go back.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah. There was before.
That's for data reduction.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's principal component and wavelet transformation. You said it's principal.
We try different approaches for data reduction.
PCA
Works better and even better.
in terms of considering the time context.
Yeah.
So can you ask me what about the data set, please?
You're meaning the data set for the health prediction?
Yeah.
Yeah. We only use the night ones for everything.
How many pictures?
Around, I guess I have to go, I don't have it, about 100, but if you divide in patches, you get lots of patches, about 2,000, 3,000 patches. Okay.
So we are trying to keep going to
Yeah, but then you have to consider that not in that case, sometimes you have to balance the data set, so you have to undersample it. So sometimes it goes a little bit lower because you have to undersample and oversample with data mutation the other. Okay.
Any more questions? So, thank you very much once more.
Thank you very much.
And now we are moving to the next.
Now the closing session.
Yes.
Okay, so it's my cue to leave the stage.
thank you. Thank you all. Okay, I hope you enjoy everything. I will start to, before everything be prepared, that the buzz, now the announcements, we will have the lunch here, in the place where we have the coffee break, and after that, we go to the bus. So the bus will leave, we have 3 buses, okay? They will leave at 2. So before 10 minutes, maybe before 2, we should go to the next to the roundabout where usually we have the buses, and there we go directly to the city of Viana do Castelo. At least one of the buses, the number 1, have to be in Braga maximum 19, okay, 7 p.m. So the ones that want to be here early should go to the number 1 bus. That's the one that will come back. Maximum be here at 11. Sorry. At 7. And the others, no more time, no much more, okay? But the first one is the one that will be earlier. Portugal won the match yesterday. I don't know if you have seen the match or not, but I did. So that's why I'm confusing the numbers, okay? The hour. So now just a few words to thank you all for being here, for attending the conference. You know that next year, the conference will be in Bali, Indonesia, and we hope to have you all there, if possible, of course. And we think that the success of ECCSA 2026 will not be possible without the dedication and the enthusiasm of many collaborators, technical assistants, volunteers, everyone whose hard work and commitment greatly contributed to the organization of this conference. So on behalf of the local organizing committee, it is our honor to warmly thank you for making this conference enjoyable and productive and a success. Thank you all. Now we want just to give just to give 4 certificates of appreciation to the VIP of this conference. So the first one will be to Bob. Bob is here. Bob, okay. So I will ask to come here Bob, to come here Osvaldo, Beniamino, and Chiara. Osvaldo. Okay. Thank you. Just a small gift for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
This is for all of us. You can take a picture. We are forgetting the picture, sorry. So we didn't take the group picture. We will take after this ceremony. But now, just a picture with us, maybe?
All together.
All together? Some girls. Well, okay. Sorry. And now, my colleague will thank the volunteers and others that were here helping us.
Okay. Alfonso Annunziata. Okay, I'm going to remember. Domenico Lavate. No, don't go. Rachel Gato. Okay. Sara Faeva. Tazina Alan. Afonso Sarmento. Ana Margarida Souza. Agora sim, boa cara. Obrigada. Cândida todas. Carolina Teixeira. Joana Pontes. Obrigada. Agora é. Pode levar.
I think you notice that they did a great job, always helping and helping.
Juliana Silva. Juliana Gomes. Liang Liu. Not here. Luís Carlos Silva. Marina Matos. Ditael Gonçalves. Obrigada. Marina. Mingley Zul. Aqui. E a Ruth Martins também não. Sofia Teixeira também não. So thank you very much for your help.
Smile.
Now just And now, the group photo, please. We'll try to take the photo here. We can try also outside this room and outside also close to the
It's better in the
Under the canvas.
under the okay, but we also have here some steps. I don't know. Stairs. Okay, let's do try here. Some here, some there.
Pois, mas se calhar nós vamos sentar no chão, não é? Ai.
Talvez que você ficar melhor aqui, não.
Olha, fica aqui. Está ok. Acho que é isso. Não faz diferença.
Afterwards, AI. But
Where's the selfie stick of Bob? Something's lacking on here now. Make a picture without that.
Ai, filha de mim.
É com cheiro. Por enquanto precisa da foto. Vai por uma hora, depois.
olha, eu tenho uma foto abaixo da loja, tiramos uma fotografia fora na loja. Na loja. Esta lona que é em casa. É uma lona
Eu ali a ver o vinho é que eu vi que a dificuldade também veio muito daquelas variedades todas.
Tens aí o telemóvel.
Sim.
Elas depois são bem no fim. Mas é que a linha surjão é terrível. Nós temos lá sobre a realidade de casa que a família que trabalha por cima, eles não tomam aqui, aquilo é um papo a fundo. Eu sou mesmo pessoas
É só players.
mas até ir à fotografia.
Não, mas é muito interessante. E é.
Sim.
É qualidade. Hoje em dia.
Como é que o Fernando tirar?
Temos que virar tudo. Mas o senhor está de tarde?
Esta manhã depois vamos buscar o resto das coisas, carregar.
Não, às duas.
Às duas
eu venho cá e tiro tudo, pode ser?
Sim.
Mas onde é que estava? Desculpe. Onde é que eles estão bem?
Não, eu estou aqui, ou eu ou o meu colega, estamos aqui
Às
os
duas.
dois.
Tá bem.
Eu só vou almoçar agora.
É a nossa catadora nova.
Eu vim para aqui, então. Eu vim
Eu
cá
vou
ter
lá.
a
Estava-te a ligar.
Olha, a Bianca não está aqui dentro.
Não, estava-te a ligar, que eu achei o senhor para me
Pois, aqui dentro.
Eu ia lá acima e de repente viu ali.
Deixa-me ver se ficou aqui algum certificado. Não sei como é que ele desapareceu, o certificado. Não sei. Eu li o nome. Era de uma menina que não estava cá.
Não,
Eu li o nome.
era portuguesa.
Era.
Na outra Mila não ficou com eles.
Elas estão a ficar com vários, mas aquele diz que não tem. Olha, depois faço-lhe.
E o Rui?
Depois faço-lhe. Não tem, eu perguntei. Por acaso, não, agora havia dois. Eu acho que lhe passei um para a mão. Mas eles só têm um.
Estou numa altura numa conferência e depois faço um certificado. Estou em casa com o certificado. Depois arranjaram outro qualquer, não tem nada disso. Fica já aqui ou...
Não, eu venho nas duas. Pode ser, é uma ideia.
É só trancar ali. Sim. É só trancar ali.
À saída.